The quantum stabilization chamber hummed with an otherworldly resonance as Dr. Isabella Santos adjusted the containment field parameters. Through the reinforced observation window, brilliant azure light pulsed in perfect rhythm with the machine's core frequency. 20 years of research had led to this moment, though not even she could have predicted what they were about to unleash. Power levels holding steady at 98%, Dr. Santos called out Dr. James Wright, her research partner of the last decade. His fingers flew across the holographic interface, making micro-adjustments to compensate for the quantum fluctuations. The new containment algorithms are performing better than expected. Isabella nodded, her dark eyes fixed on the reading displays. The International Quantum Research Facility, buried deep beneath the Swiss Alps, housed the most advanced energy research program on Earth. Their goal had been simple on paper: develop clean, sustainable energy by harnessing quantum vacuum fluctuations. The reality had proven far more complex. Beginning final phase of the stabilization sequence, Isabella announced, her voice steady despite the tension coiling in her stomach. Initiating quantum field expansion in 3, 2, 1. The chamber's hum deepened to a resonant throb as the containment field expanded, creating a perfectly stable pocket of altered spacetime. Within this bubble, the laws of physics could be subtly manipulated, allowing them to tap into the endless energy of the quantum vacuum itself. What happened next defied all their calculations. The azure light suddenly shifted to a deep violet, and the energy readings spiked off their charts. Before Isabella could abort the sequence, a shimmering ripple passed through the chamber, through the reinforced walls, and out into the surrounding facility. For a brief moment, every electronic device within a kilometer radius flickered in perfect synchronization. "James, are you seeing this?" Isabella's voice barely contained her excitement. "The field is self-sustaining, but these readings, they're impossible." "Impossible is right," James replied, his usual skepticism giving way to wonder. "We're detecting quantum entanglement on a macro scale. The field is somehow creating a cascade effect through normal spacetime." Their discovery would have been groundbreaking enough on its own, but fate had other plans. The same energy signature that had lit up their instruments had also caught the attention of someone else, someone far beyond Earth's atmosphere. 3 days later, Isabella found herself standing in a hastily assembled conference room, facing the most unusual group of visitors in human history. The alien delegation had arrived with minimal warning, their massive ship appearing in high orbit just long enough to deploy a smaller vessel to the facility. Leading the delegation was High Inspector Krickstall of the Galactic Council of Scientific Oversight. The tall crystalline being stood nearly 8 feet tall, its translucent form shifting with internal lights that seemed to pulse in time with its speech. "Dr. Santos," Krickstall's voice emerged from a small translation device, somehow managing to convey both respect and concern. "Your species has achieved something remarkable, though you may not fully grasp its implications." Isabella straightened in her chair, acutely aware of the armed guards positioned discreetly around the room. Not that conventional weapons would likely pose much threat to beings capable of interstellar travel. "Our quantum field technology is purely focused on clean energy production," she explained, gesturing to the holographic display showing their test results. "We've finally managed to create a stable containment system that inadvertently pierces the quantum substrate of reality itself." Krickstall interrupted, its internal lights flickering rapidly. "What you view as an energy source, Dr. Santos, is actually a key to something far more fundamental. Your containment field doesn't just tap into quantum vacuum fluctuations, it creates a cascading resonance through the very fabric of spacetime." James leaned forward, his scientific curiosity overwhelming any lingering apprehension about their visitors. "Are you suggesting our field generator is affecting something beyond our local spacetime?" The alien inspector's crystalline form dimmed slightly, as if choosing its words carefully. "Your device, crude though it may be, has created ripples that we detected across 12 star systems. With relatively minor modifications, it could be used to affect the fundamental constants of physics itself within its area of influence. The implications hit Isabella like a physical blow. "You're saying we've accidentally created a weapon?" "Not yet," Crixtol replied, its tone somehow both reassuring and ominous. "But the potential is there. Your discovery exists in a dangerous gray area, too useful to be banned outright, too dangerous to be left unregulated. That is why we are here." The meeting continued for hours, delving into the technical details of their discovery and its implications. As the discussion progressed, Isabella began to understand the true magnitude of what they'd stumbled upon. Their quantum field technology wasn't just a new power source. It was a doorway to manipulating the fundamental forces of the universe itself. As the day drew to a close, Isabella found herself standing alone in her lab, staring at the now dormant containment chamber. The facility had been placed under joint human-alien oversight, pending the development of proper safety protocols and regulations. Her personal tablet chirped with an incoming message. It was from James. "Meet me in Sub-Level 3, Lab 7. There's something you need to see." She found him hunched over a computer terminal, his face illuminated by streams of data. "I've been analyzing the sensor logs from our last test," he said without looking up. "There's something odd about the way the field collapsed. Look at these harmonic patterns." Isabella leaned in, her eyes widening as she processed the implications. The quantum field hadn't just created ripples in space-time. It had established a persistent connection to something else, something their instruments couldn't quite measure. "James," she whispered, "I don't think we've just discovered a new energy source or even a potential weapon. I think we've found a door." The question was, what lay on the other side? And more importantly, who else might be interested in opening it? Above them, hidden in high orbit, other alien vessels had begun to arrive, drawn by the ripples of their discovery. Humanity's first steps into a larger universe had begun, but they would soon learn that not all of their new neighbors had peaceful intentions. The quantum stabilization chamber sat silent in the darkness, its potential for either salvation or destruction waiting to be unleashed. And Isabella Santos, standing at the crossroads of human history, knew that their real work was just beginning. The holographic display filled the center of the containment lab, showing a three-dimensional representation of their quantum field's effect on local spacetime. Inspector Crixtol's crystalline form cast prismatic patterns across the walls as it moved around the projection, internal lights pulsing with increasing frequency. "Your initial assumptions about the technology's limitations were incomplete," the alien inspector stated, manipulating the display to zoom in on a particular energy signature. "What you perceived as quantum vacuum fluctuations are actually micro-tears in the fabric of reality itself." Isabella felt her throat tighten. Tears in reality. That's not possible with our current understanding of physics. "Your understanding of physics," James muttered, earning a sharp look from both Isabella and the inspector. Crixtol's form shifted to a deeper blue hue. "Precisely. What you've created, Dr. Santos, is not simply an energy generator. It's a reality manipulator. In the wrong hands, it could be used to alter the fundamental constants of physics within its area of effect." "But the field's range is limited," Isabella protested. "We can barely maintain stability beyond a few hundred meters." The inspector's next words froze the blood in her veins. "That's only because you haven't yet discovered the resonance cascade effect. With proper modifications, the field could be expanded exponentially. Imagine being able to change the strength of gravity, or the speed of light itself, across an entire star system." Before anyone could respond, a new voice cut through the tense atmosphere. "Which is precisely why this technology must be contained." Director Rajesh Patel stood in the doorway, flanked by two members of the newly formed Quantum Security Division. His normally pleasant demeanor had been replaced by something harder, more calculating. The holographic display filled the center of the containment lab, showing a three-dimensional representation of their quantum field's effect on local spacetime. Inspector Crixtol's crystalline form cast prismatic patterns across the walls as it moved around the projection, internal lights pulsing with increasing frequency. Your initial assumptions about the technology's limitations were incomplete, the alien inspector stated, manipulating the display to zoom in on a particular energy signature. What you perceived as quantum vacuum fluctuations are actually micro-tears in the fabric of reality itself. Isabella felt her throat tighten. Tears in reality. That's not possible with our current understanding of physics. Your understanding of physics, James muttered, earning a sharp look from both Isabella and the inspector. Crixtal's form shifted to a deeper blue hue. Precisely. What you've created, Dr. Santos, is not simply an energy generator. It's a reality manipulator. In the wrong hands, it could be used to alter the fundamental constants of physics within its area of effect. But the field's range is limited, Isabella protested. We can barely maintain stability beyond a few hundred meters. The inspector's next words froze the blood in her veins. That's only because you haven't yet discovered the resonance cascade effect. With proper modifications, the field could be expanded exponentially. Imagine being able to change the strength of gravity, or the speed of light itself, across an entire star system. Before anyone could respond, a new voice cut through the tense atmosphere, which is precisely why this technology must be contained. Director Rajesh Patel stood in the doorway, flanked by two members of the newly formed Quantum Security Division. His normally pleasant demeanor had been replaced by something harder, more calculating. The United Nations Security Council has convened an emergency session, he announced. We're implementing immediate containment protocols. All research data is to be secured, and access to the facility will be strictly limited. Isabella stepped forward. Director, we can't just shut everything down. The potential applications for clean energy alone are overshadowed by the potential for catastrophic misuse. Rajesh interrupted. We've already detected attempts to breach our network security. Every major power on Earth wants this technology, Dr. Santos, and not all of them are interested in clean energy. James moved to stand beside Isabella. What about our alien visitors? Surely the Galactic Council has protocols for handling discoveries like this. Crixtal's form dimmed noticeably. We do. But they were designed for civilizations that had already achieved unified planetary governance. Your world's political fragmentation complicates matters significantly. The inspector's translation device emitted a series of rapid clicks before continuing. There are factions within the Council itself that view your discovery with great interest. Not all of them share our commitment to peaceful scientific advancement. A sudden alarm blared through the facility, causing everyone to tense. Red warning lights began flashing in the corridors outside. Security breach in Sector 7, an automated voice announced. Unauthorized quantum signature detected. Isabella's eyes widened in horror. That's the primary containment chamber. They rushed to the security monitors, watching as a shimmer of distorted space appeared in the chamber. The quantum field generators were activating, but no one was at the controls. Someone's accessing the system remotely, James shouted, his fingers flying across the interface. They're trying to replicate our initial experiment. Crixtal's crystalline form began pulsing with rapid, alarming patterns. You must shut it down immediately. They're attempting to force a resonance cascade. Isabella dove for the emergency shutdown controls, but they were locked out. On the monitors, the quantum field began to expand, its violet energy rushing outward in waves. James, help me implement the failsafe, she called out. They had designed an emergency protocol that would flood the chamber with inverse quantum particles, theoretically collapsing any unstable fields. They had never tested it. Director Patel was already on his secure comlink. This is Director Patel. Implement Protocol Omega. Full facility evacuation, effective immediately. The next few minutes were chaos. As alarm sirens wailed and personnel rushed to evacuate, Isabella and James worked frantically to prevent disaster. Crixtal provided crucial insights, its knowledge of advanced physics helping them modify the failsafe on the fly. Just as the quantum field threatened to breach the chamber's containment, their combined efforts paid off. The failsafe engaged, sending a cascade of inverse particles into the chamber. The field collapsed with a thunderous implosion that shook the entire facility. In the aftermath, as emergency teams swept the facility, Isabella stood with James and Crickstall in the wreckage of the main lab. The attempted theft had failed, but it had demonstrated just how vulnerable their discovery was. "This was just the beginning," Crickstall stated grimly. "Now that knowledge of your discovery has spread, others will come, both from your world and beyond." Director Patel joined them, his face drawn with concern. "We've traced the cyber attack. It originated from multiple sources simultaneously, some terrestrial, others." He glanced at Crickstall, decidedly not. Isabella looked at the damaged containment chamber, her life's work now a potential doomsday device. "What do we do now?" "We protect it," James said firmly. "We find a way to harness this technology safely before someone else figures out how to turn it into a weapon." Crickstall's form brightened slightly. "There may be a way, but it will require something unprecedented, a true collaboration between our species." "Whatever it takes," Isabella replied, her determination evident in her voice. "We discovered this by accident, but what we do with it now is our choice." As they began planning their next steps, new alerts appeared on the security monitors. More alien ships were entering the solar system, their intentions unknown. Earth's possession of reality-altering technology had changed the game forever, and the stakes were higher than anyone had imagined. The race to control humanity's most dangerous discovery had begun, and time was running out. The orbital defense grid lit up like a Christmas tree as another unidentified vessel dropped out of faster-than-light travel near Jupiter's orbit. In the newly established Quantum Defense Command Center beneath the Swiss facility, Isabella watched the holographic display with growing concern. "That makes 17 alien ships in our solar system," Director Patil announced, his voice tight with tension. "And those are just the ones we can detect." Crickstall's crystalline form had taken on a deep crimson hue, a sign of extreme agitation, they'd learned. "The Council is fragmenting over this issue. Many believe humanity cannot be trusted with this technology. Others," the inspector paused, lights flickering. "Others wish to seize it for themselves." James burst into the command center, tablet in hand. "We've decoded more of the data from the attempted breach. It wasn't just a theft attempt. They were trying to replicate our entire containment system." Isabella felt her stomach drop. If someone manages to build their own version of our quantum field generator, they could potentially weaponize it before we develop proper safeguards. Crickstall finished. "The consequences would be catastrophic." The facility's quantum detection grid suddenly spiked, alarms blaring throughout the complex. New readings appeared on the main display, showing energy signatures identical to their own technology. But they weren't coming from their lab. "Multiple quantum field signatures detected," the AI system announced. "Location: lunar surface, dark side. Energy patterns consistent with unauthorized quantum field generation." Director Patel slammed his fist on the console. "Someone's already built a replica. How is this possible?" "The plans must have leaked during the cyber attack," James said, analyzing the new data. "These readings, they're attempting to create a much larger field than we ever did." Isabella studied the energy patterns, her scientific mind racing ahead to the implications. They're trying to establish a permanent reality alteration zone. If they succeed, they could create a bubble of space where they control the fundamental laws of physics. Crickstall finished. "A perfect weapons testing ground, hidden from Earth's direct observation." The command center erupted into action. Director Peddle began coordinating with global military forces, while James worked to track the exact location of the unauthorized facility. Isabella found herself drawn to a particular pattern in the energy readings. "Wait," she called out, enhancing the display. "Look at these harmonic frequencies. They're unstable. Whoever built this doesn't fully understand the containment principles." Crickstall moved closer, internal lights pulsing rapidly as it analyzed the data. "You're right. At this rate, they'll trigger a cascade failure within hours. The resulting reality tear could swallow your moon whole. We have to stop them, Isabella declared, not just to prevent them from weaponizing the technology, but to prevent a disaster that could threaten Earth itself. Director Patel turned from his communications console. The Security Council has authorized an emergency response team. We can have forces on the lunar surface in 3 hours. That's not fast enough, James interjected. Look at these progression rates. We have 2 hours at most before the field becomes self-sustaining. Isabella shared a look with Crickstall. We need your help. Your ship could get us there in time. The crystalline being's form shifted through several colors before settling on a determined blue. The Council explicitly forbids direct intervention in planetary affairs. However, it paused, lights flickering in what they'd come to recognize as amusement. As the original inspector of this technology, I have certain discretionary powers in emergencies. Within minutes, they had assembled a small team. Isabella and James would handle the technical aspects, while Crickstall provided transportation and advanced technological support. A squad of Special Forces operators would provide security. As they boarded Crickstall's sleek vessel in the facility's newly constructed landing bay, Isabella caught sight of Earth through the reinforced windows. The blue planet hung serenely in space, its population largely unaware of the drama unfolding on their celestial neighbor. Ready for launch, Crickstall announced through the ship's communication system. Entering quantum slip in 3, 2, 1. The journey to the moon took mere minutes through Crickstall's advanced drive system. As they approached the dark side, their sensors painted a clearer picture of what they faced. A massive facility had been constructed in one of the deeper craters, its energy signature growing more unstable by the minute. Multiple defensive systems detected, one of the Special Forces operators reported. And ships in orbit, not human designs. Isabella's heart sank. They're working with some of the alien factions. Rogue elements, Crickstall corrected, its tone sharp. Outlaws and technological pirates who see an opportunity to acquire reality-altering weapons. James looked up from his readings with alarm. The field is starting to affect local space-time. We're seeing gravitational distortions. Through the ship's viewports, they could see strange ripples in space around the facility, like heat waves on a summer road. Small pieces of lunar rock were floating upward, caught in localized areas where gravity itself was beginning to break down. We have to shut it down, Isabella stated firmly, whatever it takes. As Crickstall's ship began its approach, weapons fire erupted from the facility's defense systems. The race to prevent disaster had become a battle, and time was running out. The fate of not just Earth's moon, but potentially the entire planet, now rested in their hands. And somewhere in that facility below, someone was playing with forces they couldn't possibly control, all in the name of power. The quantum arms race had begun, and its first battle would be fought on the dark side of the moon. Crickstall's ship weaved through the barrage of defensive fire, its advanced shielding deflecting the worst of the assault. Inside, Isabella braced herself against the tactical console as the vessel performed another impossible maneuver. Energy readings are approaching critical levels, James announced, his eyes fixed on the monitoring equipment they'd brought. The quantum field's expansion rate is accelerating exponentially. Through the view screen, they watched as reality itself seemed to twist around the unauthorized facility. Lunar rocks floated in impossible patterns, caught in localized gravity wells where the laws of physics were beginning to break down. Multiple vessels approaching, one of the Special Forces operators reported. Similar design to the ones that have been gathering in Earth orbit. Crickstall's crystalline form pulsed with rapid colors. Scavenger ships. Outlaws who collect and sell advanced technology. They must have detected the field's instability. They're not here to help, Isabella realized. They're waiting for the facility to tear itself apart so they can salvage the technology. Before anyone could respond, a new voice cut through their communication system. This is Admiral Venxthor of the Galactic Council's security fleet. All vessels in lunar space, stand down immediately. Isabella watched in amazement as a massive ship decloaked above the lunar surface, its design clearly more advanced than anything they'd seen so far. Smaller escort vessels appeared alongside it, their weapons trained on the scavenger ships. "The Council received my emergency transmission," Crixtol explained, its tone relieved. They'd finally realized the gravity of the situation. "Unauthorized facility," Admiral Venkthor's voice boomed again. "Your quantum field generator is destabilizing. Allow our technical teams to assist in shutdown procedures, or we will be forced to take more direct action." The response came in the form of increased weapons fire, both at Crixtol's ship and the Council vessels. Whoever was running the facility had no intention of surrendering. "We're picking up internal communications from the facility," James called out. "Multiple languages, human and alien. This is a coordinated operation." Isabella moved to his console, studying the data. "They're trying to stabilize the field by increasing power to the containment systems. That's exactly the wrong approach. It'll only accelerate the cascade effect." 60 minutes until catastrophic failure, the ship's AI announced calmly. Director Patel's voice crackled through their secure channel. "The Security Council has authorized whatever means necessary to prevent that facility from destroying the moon. We have nuclear options available." "No," Isabella interrupted. "A nuclear strike would interact with the unstable quantum field in unpredictable ways. It could tear a permanent hole in space-time." Crixtol turned its attention to Isabella. "There may be another way, but it would require precise timing." And its lights flickered hesitantly, a willingness to trust in Council technology that hasn't been shared with Earth yet. "Whatever it takes," Isabella replied firmly. The plan came together quickly. The Council ships would engage the facility's outer defenses, creating a diversion. Meanwhile, Crixtol's more maneuverable vessel would deliver Isabella, James, and a small team to a secondary entrance they detected. "We'll use this," Crixtol explained, producing what looked like a silver sphere. "A quantum harmonic inducer. It can generate a counter-frequency to collapse their field, but it must be placed directly inside their containment chamber." James studied the device with barely contained scientific curiosity. "The same principle as our failsafe, but far more advanced." 30 minutes until catastrophic failure, the AI reminded them. The next few minutes were a blur of preparation. The Special Forces team donned advanced environment suits, while Isabella and James received a crash course in operating the Council device. Above them, the battle for lunar space intensified as Council forces engaged the scavenger ships. Their insertion went smoother than expected. The facility's defenders were too focused on the main assault to notice one small ship slipping through their perimeter. They landed in a maintenance airlock, and the mission began in earnest. Moving through the facility was like walking through a nightmare. Reality itself seemed to flex and distort around them. Gravity shifted randomly, one moment crushing them down, the next leaving them nearly weightless. Time itself felt inconsistent, with moments stretching and compressing unpredictably. "The containment chamber should be through these doors," James announced, consulting their scans. "But these readings, the field is even more unstable than we thought." Isabella checked the quantum harmonic inducer. "We'll only get one shot at this, if we can't collapse the field properly." 15 minutes until catastrophic failure. They found the chamber's entrance sealed with both physical and energy barriers. As the Special Forces team worked to breach the outer door, Isabella noticed something odd about the field readings. "These patterns, they're familiar. James, look at this harmonic sequence." His eyes widened in recognition. "It's exactly like our original experiment. They didn't just steal our designs. They copied our exact configuration, including our mistakes." Which means, Isabella realized, we know exactly where the field will be weakest. She turned to Crixtol. "We need to modify the inducer's frequency to match our original containment collapse." The crystalline being's lights pulsed with understanding. Together, they quickly recalibrated the device. Just as they finished, the doors slid open, revealing the chaos within. The containment chamber was massive, easily 3 times the size of their original. In its center, a writhing mass of violet energy twisted in impossible ways, tendrils of quantum distortion reaching out like living things. And standing at the main control station was a sight that made Isabella's blood run cold. "Welcome to the future of warfare," announced a figure in an environmental suit. "Humanity's greatest discovery, refined and perfected." The voice was distorted by the suit's systems, but the meaning was clear. They weren't dealing with thieves or pirates. This was something far more organized, far more dangerous. And they had 10 minutes to stop it. The quantum field pulsed with increasing violence, reality itself buckling under the strain. Through her suit's enhanced visor, Isabella could see micro-fissures forming in spacetime, spreading like cracks in glass. "You don't understand what you're dealing with," she called out to the figure at the controls. "The field is collapsing. If we don't shut it down now, it'll tear the moon apart." 8 minutes until catastrophic failure, the AI's voice reminded them through their comm systems. The figure turned, revealing a helmet design unlike anything Isabella had seen, a hybrid of human and alien technology. "Dr. Santos, we've been expecting you. Your arrival completes our experiment." This was a trap, James realized, checking his readings. They're using our presence to amplify the field somehow. Crystal's crystalline form flashed warning colors. "The quantum resonance from your original experiment. They're using you as a focal point." The mysterious figure raised their hands, and the violet energy surrounding them intensified. Humanity's greatest weakness is its inability to see the bigger picture. This isn't about weapons or power. It's about evolution. With this technology, we can reshape reality itself, by destroying everything in the process. Isabella demanded, watching as the quantum harmonic inducer's readings spiraled into the red. "You're going to kill everyone." "Sometimes," the figure replied calmly, "creation requires destruction." Multiple things happened at once. The Special Forces team moved to secure the chamber's perimeter. James rushed to a secondary control station, attempting to stabilize the field. Crystal's form began to emit a high-frequency pulse that seemed to interfere with the quantum distortions. And Isabella saw the pattern. "James, the field isn't just unstable, it's recursive. They've created a quantum feedback loop using our original experiment as a template. We're not just witnessing a containment failure. We're seeing the birth of a new type of spacetime," the figure finished. "One that we can control, shape, perfect." 5 minutes until catastrophic failure. Isabella's mind raced. The quantum harmonic inducer was designed to collapse unstable fields, but this was different. The facility's operators weren't trying to contain the field. They were trying to nurture it, to create something entirely new. "Crystal," she called out, "your people must have encountered something like this before. In all your history, has anyone ever successfully created a stable artificial reality?" The crystalline being's lights pulsed with what might have been sadness. "Many have tried. None have survived. The universe has rules, Dr. Santos. Not even we can break them without consequences." The figure laughed, the sound distorted by their suit's systems. "Rules are meant to be broken. Watch." They initiated some kind of sequence, and the quantum field's violence increased exponentially. Reality itself seemed to scream, the very fabric of space-time straining under forces it was never meant to contain. 3 minutes until catastrophic failure. In that moment, Isabella understood what needed to be done. "James, help me modify the inducer. We're not going to collapse the field. We're going to complete it." "What?" He stared at her in shock. "That's insane." "Trust me," she insisted, already making adjustments to the device. "Crystal, I need you to synchronize your quantum harmonics with the inducer's frequency." The crystalline being hesitated for only a moment before complying. As they worked, the figure at the controls watched with apparent interest. 2 minutes until catastrophic failure. "Whatever you're planning," the figure called out, "it's too late. The process can't be stopped now." "I'm not trying to stop it," Isabella replied, making final adjustments. I'm trying to complete it properly. She looked up at their adversary. You understood enough of our research to copy it, but you missed the most important part. The quantum field was never meant to be a weapon or a tool for controlling reality. 1 minute until catastrophic failure. Isabella held up the modified inducer. It was meant to be a bridge. She activated the device just as the quantum cascade reached its peak. The violet energy field exploded outward, but instead of tearing reality apart, it began to stabilize into new patterns. The inducer's frequency, combined with Krickstahl's harmonics, created a resonance that transformed the chaotic energy into something ordered, controlled. The figure rushed forward. What have you done? What we intended to do from the beginning, Isabella explained, watching as the quantum field settled into a stable configuration. Created a way to study and interact with the quantum substrate of reality itself, not to control it, but to understand it.